you suggesting that we should stop talking about casual racism versus racism and just call it out? Or are you saying that we should talk about, so again, I'm going to get back to this, should we talk about it more or should we talk about it less?
No, we should talk about it. Definitely should talk about it.
Then how do we, if we're going to talk about it more, how do we then deal with the issue of being called out as being casual racists?
Right. I suppose this kind of presupposes that it's a problem that is solvable.
You don't think it's solvable?
I'm a realist. I think it, to whatever extent, human beings will always have some kind of prejudice, whether it's gender-based or race-based or whatever it is. Maybe we will evolve to a point where, it's not such an issue anymore. But certainly, as a father to two mixed-race boys, I worry about the environment that they're going to grow into. They are half Chinese, half English. Whether they, grow up to live in Singapore, wherever it is in the world, there's bound to be that kind of tension. And I hope that they are strong enough, resilient enough to be able to absorb or deflect, and not have any kind of malice towards anybody else.
So if this is not a solvable problem, then it's an issue of how we deal with it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and what is it that we want to do in dealing with it? I mean, what's our, in dealing with it, what's our outcome? That we become more aware of it, that we engage with it more? Ishad?
Yeah, if I want to just build on what Imran shared, the example that he gave, you're a Malay and you're so and so and so. I mean, they're saying this because they don't know, they haven't met someone like Imran. That's basically it. I mean, if they have seen more of such individuals who engage in conversations and intellectual conversations, so on and so forth, they wouldn't be telling him, how come you're smart? The mere fact that they're saying it is because they haven't been exposed to enough of that particular race.
Yeah.
So which means, I mean, surprisingly, living in a Singapore which is very diverse, very multicultural, multiracial, religious, you still see people not being.
I'm going to challenge you on that though, because you can say it's not because they haven't. There's an ignorance gap,
right?
But you don't form that negative bias about everybody in the world just because you haven't met them, right? You don't meet a Russian and say for a Russian you're 1, 2, 3. You have nothing to expect. So it's a combination of there's the other half, right? There's something feeding a negative bias, plus there's an ignorance.
That's
Upbringing.
right. That's right.
Upbringing.
It's a situation, your circumstances, your upbringing, like you just said, right? I mean, on the point of the Russians, right? I mean, people think, the first time when I went to US on a program, leadership program, I had friends coming from different countries, from Africa, from Eastern Europe, and they were like, I thought people are carrying guns on the street, but no one's carrying guns. So, so these are the stereotypes the media plays. I think there's a lot that the media, sort of perpetuates as well. And like what Adrian said, the whole issue with Shrey and what came to the fore. So that's also part of the reason why people have that misconception, that Indians have to speak a certain way, or Chinese have to speak in a certain way, or can you be more Asian, can you be more Indian? So what exactly can you be more Indian? What exactly can you be more Chinese? So that's something that as a community, as we evolve, I think we will figure out. But also, coming back to the point on my point that the lady which said Imran is smart is because I really feel that they haven't been exposed enough, or they haven't been have personal interaction or sort of basically if you had asked me in national service, I had friends coming from SAP schools, and they had absolutely no idea the customs of the Malay, the customs of the Muslims. Say like Friday prayers, we go to Friday prayers, and they're like, why do you have to go? Like, they have never been in a situation where a friend has to leave a Friday, for the past 12 years of their life, from primary 1 to, say JC2, that in that circumstance. So, which means that I can't fault them. If they have certain prejudices, I can fault them. The only thing that I can do is to educate them. So I take it upon myself, like, that, I just have to share with them. I don't have to sound condescending. I don't have to sound that, I'm being, I'm taking offense. Because the more you feel like you're taking offense and you portray it to them, they're just going to be alienating yourself. So I think we have to be more accommodating and sort of understanding where they're coming from. And that way I feel that we can sort of bridge the gap. You know, and sort of you know, move beyond the fact that you're taking offense or, you know, you're seeing it as a racist jokes, but to educate them and to reach out to them.
But for someone to ask about something they don't know, I mean, that's okay, right? I mean, we were lots of things all of us don't know about.
Right.
It's just one is the issue of willingness to learn about the other, willingness to learn about people who are different from you, and for people who are different to teach as well.
Right.
But there's a difference between that and actually being actively biased against somebody. You talked about upbringing, and so I'm going to just pick up on that. To what extent is this not? I accept that there is an issue of ignorance, just knowledge, right?
Right.
Have you learned about this? Have you understood this? But what about the other side of things, where you've actually got an inherent negative bias? I don't want to learn about this. This is not some, you know, that type of thing.
I don't believe it's inherent. I think it's really nurturing. It's nothing to do with nature, nurture versus nature. Inherent in terms of upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
So if two parents bring up their child thinking this way, and these are the two people who have a lot to say about the child's life, how his thoughts and feelings are formed from a very young age, that's going to inform this child when he goes to school, and sometimes he doesn't stop.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the conversation should also center on what are parents telling their children about what each race represents or not.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very hard for us to go into the homes and
Mm-hmm.
tell parents what to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to come from multiple prongs as well.